racism. And then what about the Muslims? You know, 2/3 of the Muslims in America are immigrants. But that wasn't the case before 1965. In 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1965 caused a tremendous change in the immigration laws. And study the history. Muslims started coming to America in the greatest instance of reverse migration, people leaving Muslim countries, coming to America in history. Never happened like that before. But those laws were changed because of the struggle of black people in America for freedom, justice, and equality. And black people were and are the litmus test for freedom, justice, and equality in America. How is it that even though this large Muslim group in America came into being as the result of this, and all of the immigrant Muslim organizations constantly talk about El Hajj Malik, El Shabazz, Rahmatullah Alayhi, and constantly talk about Dr. King and what great men these were and how influenced they are by them, etc. Yet no major immigrant Muslim organization in America has ever had an African-American male in any position of leadership other than a token position. And I might add, very few tokens. And definitely no African-American women, in spite of all the talk about in the Muslim community about gender equality, etc., etc., etc. And not to mention the fact that there is, even though some people are in denial about it, there's this gulf, there's this chasm between indigenous Muslims and immigrant Muslims. And I might put Arab/Southern Asian immigrant Muslims. Because for some reason, the dynamic changes when we're dealing with Africans, but they're just as much of an immigrant as anybody else. And why is it that a great many African-American leaders, Muslim leaders, are more focused on issues and events abroad than at home? Why is that? How is it that you get African-American Muslim leaders walking around in the hood with affected Arabic accents? Especially if they've been overseas studying. How is that? What's going on? Man, racism is a terrible thing. So let me say, I said there's a pervasive ignorance on one hand and a denial that permeates the Muslim community. And it's obscured by ideal Islamic teaching, the teaching, by the rhetoric of what our esteemed scholar, Dr. Abdul Hakim Jackson, called the false universal. And, and there are identities that then flow from the false universal that Dr. Jackson called. So you have an African-American Muslim say, quote, these are quotes, I'm not making them. I'm not black, I'm Muslim, unquote. Young people. I'm not black, I'm Muslim. White Americans who are Muslim, when we need for them to be a white man, now they're not a white man anymore, they're a Muslim. When the one who's given the Muslims hell in America are white Anglo-Saxon Protestants and Kafirs, and they need dawah even more than African Americans because dawah is alive and well in our community. And I ain't going down south up in the mountains giving nobody no dawah. In West Virginia or any other, in North Carolina. You know I don't fear nobody but Allah. And, They ain't even going to listen to dawah from me. So what we need for you to be a white man who's a Muslim, now you ain't a white man, you just a Muslim. And I'm going to let you in on something, because I come here to talk straight. You know, people say, oh, I love Dr. King, I love Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabbat. Dr. King made a whole lot of people uncomfortable during his time. And they preferred him to Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabbat. He, you know, angered a lot of people, so I'm not here to anger anybody, but as he used to say, you know, I'm going to tell you the truth whether you like it or not. I ain't here to be liked. So I see the sister standing up out of my eyes. Do I have 2 minutes?
No,
you're going to give me my 2-minute signal now. So we have those false identities flowing from the false universal. We have conflicting visions and conceptions of destiny that haven't been resolved. We're not even talking about it. And why does this continue to exist? Because we're not doing something that's being done in the Christian and Jewish community. And I can say that, and one other thing, and I'm finished. See, in some pockets of the Christian and Jewish communities, people are getting diversity training. People are having dialogues about differences of race and ethnicity and class. When was the last time you went to a discussion like that in the Muslim community? People are in denial. And my closing comment is this. I wrote down some of the quotes I've heard moving around in the Muslim community. So nobody think I'm bashing Imam Talib, you know, he like to bash. These are quotes. These are things I've heard. I was in a meeting once of Muslim leaders at Georgetown University. And one of the brothers in the meeting turned to me and said, quote, I don't understand what's wrong with you African-American Muslims. This is before 9/11. Y'all are so angry about everything. Why can't you just get along with these good white people that run this country? And things will be better for Islam, quote, unquote. I was in a workshop at an ISNA convention. Young person, son of immigrant. He born and raised in America. He said, he asked the question, quote, isn't the black struggle for equality over, quote, unquote? Then just a few weeks ago, I was in Boston. Big college educated young person says, I'd like to think that if Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz was alive now, that he wouldn't be the black shining prince, he would just be the Muslim shining prince, he says. And then lastly, this is a quote from an African American. He says, quote, after listening to imams like me, he said, quote, this is African Americans. Sometimes some of the imams sound like they're still fighting the black revolution, he said. Somebody let me know when it was over. So that's my little piece. I look forward to discussion. Shukran wa salam alaikum.
Thank you. And I also just wanted to interject that it is very true that when you feel uncomfortable, that means you're learning. So we'll have Dr. Abdul Hakim Jackson.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وقني شر نفسي وفلة لساني وأن أضل بغير حق رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.